Sharon Williams, a 31-year-old woman who grew up surrounded by luxury in Manhattan, New York, sees her life turned upside down when her mother cuts off her allowance. From snobbish and consumerist, she is forced to face a harsh and unexpected reality, living in a McDonald's. Discover how Sharon, surrounded by social inequality, learns valuable lessons of humility, solidarity, and true friendship. The sun shone brightly over Manhattan, reflecting off the storefronts of Fifth Avenue's high-end shops. Sharon Williams walked down the avenue confidently, wearing a blue silk dress from a renowned designer's latest collection. Her high heels echoed on the sidewalk, drawing admiring glances from passers-by and tourists. She loved this feeling of superiority, the certainty that she was the center of attention. That morning, Sharon was in her element. She entered one of the most expensive stores, immediately attended to by a saleswoman who knew her by name. "Good morning, Ms. Williams. How can I help you today?" asked the young woman with a professional smile. "I'll need some new accessories for tonight's party. Something to match my dress. Something unique," Sharon replied with a slight nod. While the saleswoman fetched the items, Sharon looked around the store, feeling at home among the elegantly dressed mannequins and gleaming displays. Shortly after, the saleswoman returned with a selection of stunning jewelry. "These are from the new collection. They just arrived," said the saleswoman, opening a case to reveal a set of diamond-encrusted necklace and earrings. "Perfect. I'll take them," Sharon said without hesitation, handing over her credit card without even asking the price. After leaving the store with her new acquisitions, Sharon decided to have lunch at one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. She entered the establishment and was immediately led to a reserved table with a view of Central Park. She ordered her favorite dish and an expensive wine, savoring every moment of the luxurious experience. During lunch, her phone rang. It was her mother, Lydia Williams. Sharon answered with a smile, certain that her mother wanted to discuss details of their upcoming trip to Europe. "Sharon, we need to talk," Lydia said bluntly. "Sure, Mom. What about?" Sharon responded, unconcerned. "I'm tired of your irresponsible and frivolous behavior. As of today, all your cards are canceled. I won't give you any more money." Sharon's world stopped. She was silent, unable to process her mother's words. "You're joking, right? How can you do this to me?" "I'm not joking. You need to learn to appreciate what you have and understand reality." "It's time for you to grow up, Sharon," Lydia said, firm and resolute. "But Mom, Sharon tried to protest, but the call was abruptly ended. Sitting alone in the restaurant, Sharon felt a knot in her stomach. Her lifestyle was about to change drastically, and she didn't know how to deal with it. She finished her lunch in silence, the food suddenly tasteless. After lunch, Sharon tried to continue her shopping day, but her mother's news haunted her. She entered another designer store, picked out an expensive dress, and went to the checkout. When she presented the card, the machine beeped in rejection. "Sorry, miss, but your card was declined," the attendant informed her politely. "That's impossible. Try again," Sharon said, already feeling the first pangs of panic. The attendant tried twice more, but the result was the same. Sharon left the store in shock, reality beginning to seep into her mind. Her wealthy friends didn't answer her calls, and the security she always felt seemed to slip through her fingers. Back at her luxurious apartment, Sharon collapsed on the couch, surrounded by shopping bags. The enormity of the situation finally hit her. Without her mother's allowance, how would she sustain her lifestyle? What would happen to her? She looked around, observing the expensive furniture, the artwork on the walls, the shelves full of designer shoes and clothes. All of it seemed empty and meaningless now. For the first time, Sharon felt a pang of fear and uncertainty about the future. The day that began with so much luxury and self-confidence ended in a whirlwind of confused emotions. Sharon knew her life was about to change forever, but she had no idea how she would face this new reality. The next morning began with a strange silence in Sharon's apartment. The luxury around her seemed like an empty echo of a life that was suddenly out of reach. She got up, and still hoping it was all a misunderstanding, called her mother. "Good morning, Mom. Can we talk about yesterday?" Sharon began, trying to keep her voice calm. "Sharon, we've already talked about this. My decision is final. You need to learn to be responsible," Lydia responded, unwavering. "But Mom, I don't know how to live without the money. What am I going to do?" Sharon's voice trembled. "You're a smart woman, Sharon. You'll figure it out. I believe in you," Lydia said before hanging up. Sharon threw the phone on the couch, frustrated. She looked around the apartment and realized she needed to do something quickly. With no other option, she started calculating her savings. To her surprise and despair, she realized she had less money than she imagined. Her exorbitant spending had drained her finances. In the following days, Sharon tried to keep up appearances. She wore her best clothes and went to her usual places, but something had changed. Her wealthy friends began to notice that she no longer hosted expensive dinners or talked about new purchases. The excuses of declined card or bank problems started to sound hollow. "Sharon, are you okay?" asked Tiffany, one of her closest friends, while they met at an elegant cafe. "Sure, I'm just going through some financial adjustments." "Nothing major," Sharon replied, forcing a smile. "If you need anything, you can count on me," Tiffany said, though her look showed doubt. As the weeks passed, Sharon felt her friends distancing themselves. Invitations to events started to dwindle, and when she did attend, she noticed judging glances. The pressure to keep up appearances became unbearable, and she knew she couldn't go on like this. Desperate, Sharon began selling her luxury items. First, the designer dresses and expensive bags, then the shoes and jewelry. Each sale was a stab at her pride, but she had no choice. She spent hours on resale websites, negotiating prices and finding buyers. One night, after a particularly difficult day, Sharon sat on the floor of her closet, looking at the empty space where her clothes used to be. Tears began to stream down her face as the reality of her situation finally hit her hard. That same night, she decided to call another of her friends in the hope of getting some help. "Hi, Jason. Do you have a minute?" Sharon asked, trying to hide the desperation in her voice. "Sharon, I heard you're having some difficulties. What happened?" Jason sounded concerned but also distant. "My mom cut off my allowance. I have no money and don't know what to do. I need help," she confessed, her voice breaking. "Sharon, I'm sorry, but I'm leaving for a trip tomorrow. Maybe we can talk when I get back," Jason said hurriedly. The call ended, and Sharon was alone again. As the weeks passed, her savings ran out completely. Without money for rent, she was evicted from her luxurious apartment. With nowhere to go, she started sleeping in shelters and eventually found temporary refuge in a McDonald's in Manhattan. The initial shame and humiliation were almost unbearable. Sharon felt completely lost. In that McDonald's, while watching the people around her, employees working hard and customers facing their own struggles, something began to change inside her. The nights in Manhattan could be mercilessly cold, especially for someone without a roof over their head. Sharon, who once nestled in luxurious silk sheets, now huddled under a thin coat on a bench in McDonald's. The constant aroma of fries and burgers was a bittersweet reminder of her new reality. She had entered that McDonald's out of sheer necessity, a last resort after spending uncertain nights in overcrowded shelters. At first, the shame burned her face with every curious glance she received. She tried to hide in a corner, away from sight, hoping not to be noticed. "More coffee?" asked a gentle voice one morning. Sharon looked up to see a middle-aged employee with a warm smile. Her name tag read, Lila. "Yes, please," Sharon replied, trying to sound casual. Lila filled her cup with a generosity that went beyond the simple act of serving coffee. In the following days, Sharon began to notice the routine of the place. The employees, always busy, kept a steady pace of work. They were a diverse mix of ages and ethnicities, but all seemed united by a common goal. Sharon began to realize that many of the patrons were regulars, people who found comfort and normalcy in McDonald's. One day, while Sharon was trying to rest, she overheard a conversation between two employees at the counter. "She's been here for a few days, hasn't she?" asked a young guy with curly hair. "Yes, I think she's going through a tough time. Let's give her a break," replied Leela, the same employee who had offered her coffee. Sharon felt a pang in her heart, a mix of gratitude and shame for being the center of a pitying conversation. Determined not to be a burden, Sharon began to help with small tasks, like clearing trays or wiping tables. It was her way of thanking for the silent hospitality she received. Leela noticed her efforts. "Leela, you've got a knack for this," Leela said one evening. "Want to join us? We can talk to the manager." The idea of working at McDonald's was unimaginable for Sharon a few weeks ago, but now it seemed like a dignified opportunity. I don't know. I've never worked in a place like this before," she confessed, her voice trembling. "Don't worry. We all start somewhere. I'll talk to James, our manager. He's a good person," Leela assured. In the following days, Sharon continued to help, trying to familiarize herself with the restaurant's operations. Gradually, she started interacting more with the employees. She discovered that Leela was a single mother of 3, working 2 jobs to support her family. Carlos, the young guy with curly hair, was saving up to pay for college. These stories of struggle and resilience were new to Sharon, who had always lived isolated in her world of privileges. One night, while Sharon was cleaning a table near the window, Leela approached with a robust man with a friendly smile. "Sharon, this is James. He wants to talk to you." "Hi, Sharon. Leela told me about you. It seems like you're willing to help out here. Is that true?" James asked, getting straight to the point. "Yes, I want to do something useful. I can't just keep hiding," Sharon said sincerely. "Well, we can start with a few hours a day. Nothing too heavy until you get used to it." "How about that?" James suggested in an encouraging tone. "I'd love to. Thank you so much," Sharon replied, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. That night, as she settled on the most comfortable bench she could find, Sharon reflected on her new life. It was a humble beginning, but for the first time in a long time, she felt a glimmer of hope and purpose. The day was breaking in Manhattan, and Sharon was already up, preparing for another shift at McDonald's. After months of sleeping in the restaurant and adjusting to a new routine, she finally decided to accept James's offer to work officially at the fast food joint. Her friends, Leela, Carlos, and Angela, encouraged her, reminding her how she was already helping voluntarily and how this would be a positive step in her journey. Sharon headed to the restaurant with a mix of anxiety and determination. Upon entering, she was greeted with a welcoming smile from James. "Good morning, Sharon. Ready for your first official day?" "Yes, I'm ready," Sharon replied, trying to hide her nervousness. "Thank you for the opportunity, James." "Let's start with something simple," James said, leading her to the counter. "First, I'll teach you how to use the order system." The training started slowly, and Sharon felt the initial difficulties. Operating the cash register and handling the pressure of quick orders was a challenge. Her fingers, still accustomed to the soft touch of designer bags, now needed to adapt to the system's buttons. "Can you repeat the order, please?" Sharon asked an impatient customer. "A Big Mac, large fries, and a soda," the man responded, not hiding his frustration. Sharon repeated the order, trying not to fumble. Throughout the morning, she started getting the hang of it, but the learning curve was steep. However, she was not alone. Leela and Carlos were by her side, ready to help and encourage. "You're doing well," Carlos said as she completed an order. "Remember, we all had to learn one day." One day, while cleaning tables after the morning shift, Angela approached her. "You really found your rhythm, Sharon. We're all proud of you." "Thank you, Angela," Sharon replied with a genuine smile. "I never thought I'd work here, but I'm starting to understand the value of all this." Besides the daily tasks, Sharon also began to take on more responsibilities. She volunteered to organize the shift schedule and suggested improvements to make the work environment more efficient. James noticed her dedication and praised her at a team meeting. "Sharon, your commitment and dedication are inspiring. You really are making a difference here," James said in front of everyone. These words of recognition were something new for Sharon. In her old life, she rarely received compliments for anything that didn't involve her appearance or social status. Now, she felt she was being valued for her effort and real contribution. The challenges still existed, of course. There were days when customers were particularly difficult or when the exhaustion seemed unbearable. On one of those nights, Sharon confided in Leela while they closed the restaurant. "Sometimes I feel like I can't keep going," Sharon said, exhausted. "You're stronger than you think, Sharon," Leela responded with a soft, encouraging voice. "Remember why you started. Every day is a chance to grow and become the best version of yourself." Those words resonated with Sharon. She began to realize that the hard work was reshaping not just her skills, but her character as well. The determination she found in herself was something new and empowering. Each shift, each customer served, each task completed was shaping a new Sharon. The morning was particularly hectic at McDonald's. Sharon, dressed in her new uniform, tried to keep up with the frantic pace of orders. Her hands, once accustomed to carrying designer bags, now trembled as she attempted to balance trays of fast food. "Hey Sharon, can you grab more fries?" Carlos shouted from the counter, his voice mingling with the constant sound of fryers and conversations. "Sure," Sharon responded, still awkward. She rushed to the prep area, trying not to get in the way of other employees. The tension was palpable, and Sharon felt every pair of eyes on her, assessing her movements. "Don't worry, we all go through this," Leela said, placing a comforting hand on Sharon's shoulder. "You'll get the hang of it." Despite the encouragement, Sharon's first day was a series of small disasters. She spilled hot coffee on a table, dropped a tray full of drinks, and nearly burned a batch of fries. Each mistake made her face burn with embarrassment, but she refused to give up. That night, exhausted and frustrated, Sharon sat with Leela for a quick dinner. "I'm a disaster," she confessed, rubbing her aching temples. "Don't say that," Leela replied firmly. "Learning something new takes time. Besides, you're trying, and that's what matters." As the days turned into weeks, Sharon began to adjust, albeit slowly. She developed a deep respect for her colleagues, whose life stories were a stark contrast to her own. Carlos, always cheerful, shared his aspirations of becoming an engineer. He worked tirelessly, saving every penny for college. "My mom always said education is the key," Carlos said as they cleaned the restaurant after closing. "It's the only way out of this life." The regular customers at McDonald's also started to open Sharon's eyes. There was George, a war veteran who told stories about battles and camaraderie, and Tina, a single mother working 2 jobs to support her children. "You know, Sharon, life isn't about what you have, but what you give," George said one day as Sharon helped him find his favorite seat. "The people here are like family to me." Sharon began to understand the depth of these words. She realized that her old life of luxury was empty, devoid of the human connections that now meant so much to her. Each shared smile, each small kindness, was a lesson in humility and gratitude. One day, while helping to distribute meals to a group of homeless people, Sharon found herself reflecting on her journey. She remembered the glamorous parties and endless shopping, and compared it with the stories of struggle and perseverance that now filled her daily life. "Are you okay?" Leela asked, noticing Sharon's thoughtful expression. "Yes, I'm just Thinking, Sharon replied, a faint smile on her lips. I think I never understood the true value of things until now. Lila smiled back, understandingly. Sometimes we need to lose everything to discover what really matters. As Sharon continued to work at McDonald's, she realized she still had much to learn. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities for growth and understanding. She still stumbled and made mistakes, but the initial shame gave way to a growing determination. Weeks turned into months, and Sharon began to feel like part of the McDonald's team. Her daily interactions with Lila, Carlos, Angela, and the regular customers created a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. It was a completely different world from what she knew, but increasingly, she felt it was exactly where she needed to be. One night after a long day of work, Sharon and Lila were closing the restaurant. Lila looked at Sharon with a tired but sincere smile. You know, Sharon, you've been doing really well. I'm proud of you. Sharon smiled back, feeling a wave of gratitude. Thank you, Lila. You have no idea how much that means to me. Why don't we go out for a coffee after work? I know a cozy little place nearby, Lila suggested. Sharon hesitated for a moment, but accepted the offer. They walked to a small cafe around the corner, where they sat and ordered 2 cappuccinos. The atmosphere was simple but welcoming, and Sharon felt comfortable sharing more about her life. Have you ever wondered how I ended up here? Sharon asked, looking at the foam of her coffee. Yes, a few times, admitted Lila. But I always thought you'd tell me when you were ready. Sharon took a deep breath and began to talk about her previous life. The extravagant parties, the endless shopping, and how her mother had cut off her allowance. Lila listened attentively, not interrupting, just offering a sympathetic ear. I never imagined I'd live like this, but now, seeing everything you go through, I realize how wrong I was, Sharon concluded, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. We all make mistakes, Sharon. The important thing is to learn from them and move forward, Lila said, squeezing Sharon's hand affectionately. Sharon began forming bonds with other employees as well. Carlos, with his youthful enthusiasm, often shared his hopes and dreams with her. One night, he invited her to a fundraising party for his college tuition. It will be simple but fun, and any help is welcome, said Carlos, his eyes shining with anticipation. Sharon agreed, excited by the opportunity to support her new friend. The party was held in a small community center, full of music, laughter, and a sense of unity Sharon had never experienced before. She helped organize raffles, served food, and even ventured to dance. Are you having fun, Sharon? Carlos asked during a brief break. Yes, a lot. This is amazing, she replied, feeling genuinely happy. Beyond her co-workers, Sharon also began forming friendships with some of the homeless patrons who frequented McDonald's. George, the war veteran, became a constant presence in her life. He shared stories from the past, offering a perspective on life Sharon had never considered. You have a good heart, Sharon. And that's rare, George said one day as they walked through the park. Life can be tough, but good people make it all worthwhile. These new friendships began to transform Sharon internally. She found herself caring about others in a way she had never experienced before. She started organizing small fundraising events to help her new friends, looking for ways to improve working conditions at McDonald's and offering help whenever she could. One night, while sitting at McDonald's after her shift, Sharon received an unexpected call from her mother. Sharon, how are you? Asked the familiar voice, tinged with concern. I'm well, Mom. Actually, I'm better than ever, Sharon replied, surprising herself with the sincerity of her words. I'd like to see you. Can we meet? Her mother asked, hopeful. Yes, of course, Sharon said, feeling a mix of emotions. She knew this conversation would be important, but now, with her new friends by her side, she felt prepared. The call ended, leaving Sharon thoughtful. She looked around, observing her co-workers and friends, and realized how much she had changed. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, she felt she was on the right path. The day of the meeting with her mother arrived, and Sharon felt a mix of nervousness and anticipation. She chose a quiet cafe for the meeting, a place that symbolized her new beginning. When her mother, Lydia, entered, Sharon noticed the worry lines on her face, something she had never paid attention to before. "Hi, Mom," said Sharon, standing up to hug her. "Sharon, you look different," said Lydia, assessing her daughter with a critical but also curious look. They sat down and ordered their drinks. There was a tense silence before Lydia finally spoke. "Sharon, I'm worried about you. I heard you're working at McDonald's. Is that true?" "Yes, it's true," Sharon replied, trying to stay calm. "I needed a job and a way to support myself, and honestly, it's been a transformative experience." "Transformative?" Lydia raised an eyebrow. "You are a Williams, Sharon. You weren't raised for this." "Maybe this is what I needed, Mom. I didn't understand the value of work, effort, and the people around me," explained Sharon, feeling the tension rise. Lydia took a deep breath. "I just want the best for you. I hope you understand that." "I do, Mom, but I also need to find my own path, even if it's different from what you expected," said Sharon firmly. "Look at that, Sharon. Never imagined seeing you working here," said Kira, an old friend with a tone of disdain. "Yes, I'm working here now," replied Sharon, trying to maintain her dignity. "What a downfall," murmured Kira, walking away with a malicious smile. Kira's words echoed in Sharon's mind, bringing back insecurities she thought she had overcome. But looking at Leela, Carlos, and Angela, who continued to support her, she felt a wave of determination. She wouldn't let the judgments bring her down. Amid these challenges, Sharon began to realize that her internal resistance to change was also a significant barrier. Often she found herself longing for the comforts of her old life. Memories of luxuries and ease still haunted her, especially on cold, long work nights. One night, after a particularly difficult shift, Sharon confided in Leela while they cleaned the restaurant. "Sometimes I feel like I can't make it. I miss the comfort and ease of before," Sharon confessed, her voice filled with frustration. "We all have those moments, Sharon," replied Leela, understandingly. "The important thing is to remember why we're doing this. What we're gaining from this new life is much more valuable than any luxury." Leela's words stayed with Sharon. She began to see each challenge as an opportunity for growth, a way to become stronger and more resilient. Gradually, she started to accept these difficulties as part of the transformation process. One day, while at McDonald's, Sharon received an unexpected visit. It was George, the war veteran, with a serious expression on his face. "Sharon, I need your help," he said directly. "Sure, George. What happened?" asked Sharon, concerned. "Some of my friends are in a tough situation. They need support, and maybe you can help us organize something," George explained. Sharon immediately agreed to help, organizing a small fundraiser and mobilizing her co-workers to contribute. Seeing the gratitude in George's and the other veterans' eyes was one of the most rewarding experiences she had ever had. Despite the internal and external conflicts, Sharon began to realize she was growing in ways she had never imagined. She was learning to face challenges with courage and to value human connections above all else. As she settled into her corner at McDonald's that night, Sharon felt a new sense of peace. Her journey was far from over, but she knew she was on the right path, surrounded by people who truly mattered. It was a Saturday afternoon when Sharon decided to call her mother again. After months of reflection and personal growth, she felt ready to attempt a deeper reconciliation. On the other end of the line, Lydia answered almost immediately, her voice filled with concern and hope. "Hi, Mom," said Sharon, trying to sound confident. "Sharon, dear, I'm so happy you called. How are you?" replied Lydia, with a slight hesitation in her voice. "I'm well, Mom. I've learned a lot and would like to talk to you. Can we meet for lunch? Asked Sharon, feeling a mix of anxiety and expectation. Of course, dear. How about our old favorite restaurant? Suggested Lydia. Perfect. See you there at noon, confirmed Sharon. You look beautiful, Sharon, said Lydia, smiling. I see something different in you. Thank you, Mom. I also see things differently now, replied Sharon sincerely. I want to share what I've learned and, hopefully, understand our differences better. The lunch began with light conversation, filled with old memories. Gradually, Sharon started talking about her new life, her job at McDonald's, and the friendships she had made. Lydia listened attentively, a mix of surprise and admiration growing in her eyes. I know it was hard for you to accept my decision to cut your allowance, said Lydia, with a tone of regret. But I only wanted you to see the world differently. I understand now, Mom. At first I was full of anger and resentment, but these new experiences have shown me what really matters. Hard work, friendship, humility, things I never valued before, admitted Sharon. I'm so proud of you, Sharon. I'm sorry for our last meeting. I didn't see how this job could be so good for you, said Lydia, holding her daughter's hand. I see the strong and resilient woman you've become, and it fills me with joy. I want to support your new choices, truly. Thank you, Mom. It means a lot to hear that. I feel like we're finally understanding each other, replied Sharon, with tears in her eyes. The conversation continued, and mother and daughter shared their hopes and fears in a way they never had before. Lydia revealed her own struggles, her constant worry for Sharon, and her desire to see her daughter happy and fulfilled. I always wanted the best for you, but now I realize the best isn't always the easiest. I'm learning too, Sharon, confessed Lydia. We can learn together, Mom, suggested Sharon with an encouraging smile. I want you to be part of my life, my journey. They ended the lunch with a sense of renewal and mutual understanding. Lydia offered practical help to Sharon, suggesting that together they could find a solution to her housing situation. Sharon accepted, recognizing that she needed her mother's support as she continued to build her new life. Yes, Mom, they have become my family, and you are part of it now, replied Sharon, feeling a sense of completeness. The relationship between Sharon and her mother continued to grow, and both learned to value and respect each other's perspectives. Sharon looked at the keys in her hand, a smile of satisfaction spreading across her face. The small apartment in the suburbs of Manhattan was nothing like the luxury she was used to, but it represented something much more valuable: independence and a new beginning. She opened the door and walked into her new home. The walls were simple, the space modest, but to Sharon, it was perfect. She placed her few possessions on the floor and walked around the apartment, imagining how she could decorate it in a way that reflected her new perspective on life. Later that day, Leela, Carlos, and Angela came to help her settle in. They brought boxes, laughter, and a contagious energy that made the small space feel vibrant and welcoming. So, how does it feel to have your own place, Sharon? Asked Carlos, while placing a box of dishes in the kitchen. I'm so happy for you, dear, said Lydia, as they talked in the kitchen. Seeing you here, surrounded by people who care, is everything I've ever wanted. Thank you, Mom. It means a lot to have you here, replied Sharon, holding her mother's hand. I'm learning that life is about the people and the moments we share. In time, Sharon settled into her new routine. She continued to work at McDonald's, where she was now a valued and respected employee. James, the manager, recognized her potential and began delegating more responsibilities to her, including coordinating community events and supervising new employees. One day, while discussing a new project with James, he made an offer that caught her by surprise. Sharon, I see a lot of potential in you. I'd like to offer you a promotion to assistant manager. What do you think? Sharon was momentarily speechless, but then smiled with gratitude. I'd love that, James. Thank you so much for the trust. I'll do my best. The new position brought additional challenges, but also a renewed sense of purpose. Sharon dedicated herself to the job with passion, implementing ideas to improve the restaurant's efficiency and organizing events to help the local community. "Thank you, Sharon," said George with tearful eyes. "You changed my life." "No, George, we changed each other's lives," replied Sharon emotionally. Months passed, and with them, Sharon continued to grow. She remained close to her friends from McDonald's, forming an unbreakable support circle. Her relationship with her mother also strengthened, now based on mutual respect and understanding. One night, while resting in her apartment, Sharon reflected on her journey. From a life of empty luxury to discovering the value of work, friendship, and community, she had transformed profoundly. There were still challenges ahead, but now she felt ready to face them, knowing she was not alone. I would love to hear your opinion about this emotional story. What did you think about Sharon's decision to accept the job at McDonald's and how it impacted her life? Do you think she made the right choice? And the relationship between Sharon and her mother, Lydia, how do you think it evolved? Leave your comments below. We want to know what you think. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the story, subscribe to the channel for more amazing content, and share this video with your friends. Your participation is very important to us. Now, watch this story. Ava, a young babysitter full of dreams, faces an unexpected challenge: the subtle but cruel racism of the matriarch of a family that seemed welcoming. Click on the video appearing on your screen now, and I'll see you there in a few seconds.